So this evening, what am I talking about this evening? So as some of you know, my lives are often connected to the kinds of posts that come up in the Home Baking Business Community UK, which is one place that I'm streaming live to this evening. Hello, if you're watching in there. And recently, I say over the last couple of months, I've seen a few posts where people have said that, you know, their friends and their family don't take them seriously. They think you can drop everything at a moment's notice. What can I do to make them take me seriously? So I thought, oh, that would be a really good live to do. A few things that you can do to make your friends and your family take you and your business seriously, rather than just thinking you're, you know, walloping around in the kitchen, whipping up a quick sponge and having the time of your life and putting your feet up, which, as we know, is not the case, is it? Particularly not of the last couple of days anyway. So I have got a list. I think it's 7 things. You know, I like numbers. 7 things that you can do. All of this, as always, is written in my blog. So at 8 o'clock, I think I scheduled it for 8. The link to my blog will be posted in the group. So if you're a reader rather than a listener, you can have a look at that too. So let's have a think about 7 things that you can do to help people take you more seriously, or to help the people closer to you take you more seriously. There is going to be a bit of tough love in here, by the way. Don't think it's all sort of fluffy and skipping through flowers, because there is a little bit of pulling your adult pants on. I was going to say big girl pants, but I realized there are men watching as well, so I couldn't say big man pants. But anyway, you know what I mean. All right. So first of 7 things. First thing you can do is have a look at your social media profile, and particularly your personal one. I have a personal Facebook page, as I think you have to if you want business pages. You have to have your personal one. And until recently, my personal page, the cover of it were my cats as kittens, because they're very cute. We love them. But it dawned on me at the beginning of this month that actually I should have my business profile up there. Now, I don't have a problem with my family and my friends taking me seriously, so it wasn't something that I felt I needed to do for that reason, but I just wanted to do it. But of course, it occurred to me that if you have a personal profile that you use all the time and that your friends and your family use all the time, then you can use that to help you. So the front cover of your Facebook page, put your business logo on there, put your business name, put a picture of you baking cakes, put a picture of you doing something business-like on there. And that really does give a signal that, you know, this is your business. You know, you're not mucking around anymore. You're serious about this. Okay. So that when, you know, your friends and family look at your Facebook page, then that's what they will see. Think about your profile picture as well. Some people put their business logo as their profile picture. I tend to advise against that, because people buy from people, so they really should be seeing your face. So have your logo on your cover, but have your face on your profile. Last week I talked about social media engagement and all that kind of thing. That's all in there. So think about your profiles. So if you are Instagram, which I hope most of you are, because that's very good for caking, think about your bio. What do people see when they go in there? Now, I have got a personal, just an Annie Bennett Insta, but I never use it. I never put anything on it. I never go in there. I just go with my three: my Annie Bennett business, Leading Lady Cakes, and my Sugar Balloon box. Those are the three that I use all the time. My personal one, I never use, and no one ever sees it. But for the three that I do have, my bio's up to date. It's got a link there. It's got my logo on it, all that kind of stuff. So that will go a long way to making the people around you realize that, you are a business. Okay. You can, on Facebook, you have to be careful with a personal profile. You mustn't sell things from there. Facebook don't like that. But what you can do is you can share your business page things, which again is a brilliant thing to do, because if you've got a really good social media strategy where you're thinking, right, I'm going to put a bit behind the scenes content, I'm going to put a few tips and hints. Look at last week's for that, my live last week, and it'll give you all the clues about that. But if you have all that, those different contents, and you share them on your personal profile, then even if your friends and family don't necessarily follow your page because they don't think you're a proper business, they will see it on your personal profile and they'll soon get the hint. Actually, she really knows what she's doing. She's thought about this. She's put some, time and effort into this. And that will be a really good message to give over to your friends and family. Okay. Number 2, if you're not already, think about business networking. Particularly, particularly in Facebook groups, because those are brilliant places to connect with people. And I don't just mean cakey ones either, although there are some cakey ones, like the Home Baking Business Community UK, of course, and my society, the Professional Society, are really good sort of networking. But I'm talking about, general business ones, where not everyone in there is a cake person, where you have, people who are really successful sharing their experience. I'm in a few. There's a brilliant one, the Fabulous 5%, which is run by a lady called Lisa Johnson, who I think is fabulous. And in there are lots of people in there. They ask for advice, they give advice, they share things. There's all sorts of things in there. So you can be learning about, if you're like me, and when you set up your business, you had no clue and you'd never run a business before, then that kind of place is brilliant, because it sort of teaches you what you need to know and how you can go about learning it. And if you do all this, that will rub off. The fact that you're doing that and you're learning things, you're learning about, strategy and finances and legals and T's and C's and all that kind of thing from a really wide business point of view. Find some business books. If you look on the business section on Amazon, the small business one is a good one, because there's all sorts of things in there. I can recommend some if you want specifics. I can happily recommend some. But start reading those kind of things and thinking how you can apply those to your business. Really get deep into how your business works and how you're going to run it, rather than just, I just make cakes. Because if you give off that vibe, then that's what the people around you are going to pick up. If you get deeper into it and start reading books and learning more wider business things, then the people the people around you are going to eventually realize, oh my goodness, she means business here, quite literally. Okay. And if you do buy business books, by the way, you can put them on your expenses, so tax deductible, as they say. Anything you buy for your business is a deductible. Now the next one, number 3, is a big one, and this is a bit of tough love here. Very occasionally I see in the group that someone has got a new mixer or a new this or a new that, and they've said, oh, my husband, wife, mother, father bought it for me as a Christmas or birthday present. And my initial thought was, oh, that's lovely, it's a lovely thing, whatever it is. But my second thought is, you're a business. So my third point is, don't ask for business things for birthday and Christmas presents, because you are giving a walloping signal that actually you're doing it as a hobby. You're not doing it as a business. There's a real message that asking for something for your birthday gives. Okay. If you are serious about your business, then everything you buy for your business goes through your books properly and is accounted for and is tax deductible, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Which you can't really if things are gifted to you. So try and get to the point where you're saying, actually, no, I don't want business things for my birthday. Get me get clothes, shoes, whatever it is, so that you can then spend any extra money you have on your business. So start to give that signal to the people around you, that your business finances are a thing that you need to keep self-contained, if you like. So yeah, don't ask for business equipment for presents. Okay. The next one, I think we're up to number 4. Are we not up to number 4? It's fairly obvious, this one. And again, it's a bit of tough love going on here. And it's something that actually I'm guilty of too. But look at your phone use. How do you use your phone? Do you have it with you all the time? Are you answering calls and answering messages all the time during your working day? Because if you are, you're giving that signal that you're available all the time. Okay. Think about, if you're employed, as I know a lot of you are, if you were at work and you were on your phone all the time answering messages and so on and so forth, you might be in a place where your work people allow it, but there comes a point where they would draw a line, wouldn't they? And I know some workplaces wouldn't allow it at all. So think about your business and your phone use. So if a family member messages you or phones you during the day, are you instantly available to them? Or do you have a voicemail message that says, I'm working right now, I'll call you back when I'm free? Because even that in itself gives a message, doesn't it, that actually I'm working. I'll contact you when I'm not working. Have a time in your day. So perhaps you're working while your children are at school. So the end of your working day will be, when you pick them up or when they come home from school. And then you can be, available to your friends and family after that time. But between, 9 and 3 or whatever the middle of the day is for you, that's your work time. You're not available in that time for things other than work. And you need to be, as with all of these things, you need to be persistent and you need to be a bit resilient. Okay, we'll come on to that a bit more in a minute. Because I think some of you know my 3 favorite words: determination, perseverance, and resilience. You've got to use those in bundles sometimes if you come across problems. Okay. And then I think we're up to number 5. Sort of goes with number 4 a bit. And again, I'm a bit guilty of this as well. Don't make yourself available for fun things and then say no to chores. So your friends and family, whoever it is, phone you up and say, oh, do you want to go to the beach today? Or do you want to go for lunch or whatever it is? If you're willing to drop everything to do that because it's fun, you can't really then complain if they phone you up and ask you to do them a favor and pick them up or take them to the train station or whatever, because you're suddenly then not available. Okay, it's either one or the other. So, if you get that, oh, do you want to come for lunch or do you want to come to the beach, which is more likely at this time of year, your answer should be, well, actually, no, I'm working at the moment, but I might join you later, when I've finished. Start saying that kind of thing. I'll join you when I've finished what I'm doing, or I'll join you when I've finished this order, or I'll join you when I've finished my admin or my books or my emails or whatever it is. Okay. So yeah, don't drop everything for the fun things and then expect them to be happy when you don't drop them for the non-fun things. And of course, I'm not talking about emergencies. You know, if someone phones up and there's a bit of a crisis or an emergency, or someone's ill or whatever. But as I said in my blog, for example, if your sister is taken ill and needs her children picking up, of course you're going to, you help out. But if your sister phones you and says she's running late at the spa, actually, why should you stop your work and earning money because she hasn't organized herself enough? Unless there's a problem, a car's broken down or whatever. But the more you give in to non-emergencies, the more they will expect you to. I found this when I was teaching, actually. The more you say yes to things, the more people will ask you things, the more people will expect you to drop things, to do things for them. Okay, so just bear that in mind. Okay, and then I think we're up to number 6 now, is to do with the last 2 or 3 points. Learn how to say no. Saying no is probably one of the most trickiest things, because you want to keep the peace. Okay. And in fact, I was in a training session, not leading it, but following it. And someone was talking about the brain. Now, I've talked about this before, about the reptilian brain, the fight or flight brain. When you find it difficult to make decisions because your brain is panicking. Watch my earlier lives if you're not sure what I'm talking about. But the fight or flight, there's 4. There's fight or flight, there's freeze, and the 4th one I didn't really know about is fawn, as in trying to please people. Okay, so the reason we find it hard to say no to people is because our instinctive brain is saying, if I say no, this person is going to not be happy. And it's in our nature, deep in our nature, not to make people unhappy. Okay, and that's why lots of people find it really difficult. Because if you make people unhappy, it puts you at a disadvantage. They're more likely to, if you think cavemen, they're more likely to not give you the food, or not give you the warmth, or, push you nearer the cave entrance where it's colder. Those kind of things. Oh, I'm waffling now, but hopefully you get what I'm talking about. So saying no isn't a natural thing for our brain to do. Okay, to perhaps potentially annoy people. So you've got to learn how to do that. You've got to learn how to say, no, I'm working right now. Or no, I'm not free because I'm working. No, I can't leave what I'm doing. You are then not responsible for how they feel once you've said that. They are responsible for how they feel. You are responsible for your business. You are responsible for your business making a profit, and to your customers and your clients that have paid you money. Okay, and to your potential customers who are potentially going to pay you money, because that's what your business is all about. Okay, if you say yes to your friends and family pulling you here, there, and everywhere, then you can't do that for your business. So that is your priority. Okay, so remember that next time. Learn the power of saying no. And the last one, we're up to number 7. Hooray. The last one's quite a nice one, really. And that is, shout loud about your successes. I'm sure that a lot of you, when you have orders, you share with your friends, oh, I've got lots of orders. But tell them what that means in terms of turnover. Tell them what that means in a business sense, not just, oh, I've got loads of money, or, I've got lots of orders this week. But tell them, because I've got these orders, that means I've got so much turnover, which means I've got so much profit, which means that profit I can put into buying a piece of equipment for my business, which means that I can then build my business, and so on and so on. Okay, so they can see that the money that you're making, not only are you making money, but you're putting it towards building your business as well. If you're not quite at that stage yet where you are getting orders and making profit, then what you need to do is share what your strategy is to get there. So what are your sales targets? And if you haven't got any, get some. How many do you hope to sell? You know, how many orders do you hope to put out in a week? What's your aim? Okay. There is in the guide section around December, January time, I did a live on strategy and how to plan out these things. Okay, so have a look at that if you're not sure about this, if you're very new to business, because I didn't have a clue when I first started. And this is where business networking will help you as well. If you go into business groups, there'll be lots of information about this in there. So talk about your business strategy. How many you hope to sell? What are you doing to achieve it? Yeah. What are your strategies for getting customers in? Have you got a social media strategy? Have you got an advertising strategy? Have you got, you know, talk about that. Talk about how you're building your business. And that will obviously give the message that you've thought about this. You're not just in your kitchen, you know, whipping up a quick sponge and then hopefully someone will buy it. You're actually being proactive in making sales. Okay, you're being proactive. If you're at the beginning of your journey and you're not quite sure how to do that, there's lots of advice. Ask in the group if you're not sure. I can point you in the direction of other, you know, groups. In fact, there's a brilliant sales group, the name of which I can't remember, but I will put that in the group, a free Facebook group to do with sales and how to get more sales. I'll share that with you. If I forget, remind me. But all that, so shouting about your successes, shouting about what that means to you as a business, and also talking about how you intend your business to grow and what you hope for your business and what your sales targets are for your business. All that will give the message to the people around you. She means business here. She's not just in the kitchen whipping up a cupcake or two. She's really thought about this. Okay. And if you've done all those things, if you've got all those things going, and you've got those 3 words that I keep banging on about, so you're determined that this business is going to work, you're persevering despite your friends and family being narky with you because you're not dropping everything for them, and you're resilient. You're not going to succumb to emotional blackmail when, you know, your mum says, oh, you never come to lunch with me or whatever it is. Yeah, but I'm running a business, you know. Tell you what, let's book in a lunch in a couple of weeks, then I can sort out my schedule. That's what I have to do now, you know, particularly if I've got wedding cakes on the go. My daughters will say, oh, I'm not working Fridays. Are you free? And I'll say, well, I'm not this week. But next week, if I plan all my week, I can have everything done by lunchtime and we can have the afternoon, you know, so that kind of thing. And the more that you persist in this and don't give in, the more they will then come to realize that you are serious. Okay. And that's the whole point of this session. So there we go. So don't forget, there's the blog that I've written. That's where it's all written down for you, if you're a reader rather than a listener. This will be put in the guide section. It'll also be put on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, for you to watch at your leisure if you wish to watch it again, you know, cure for insomnia. I don't know. So I hope that's been useful. Do let me know if it has been useful. Also, do let me know of anything else that you'd like me to talk about, because, you know, I can waffle on about most things. And if there's a particular area you'd like me to talk about, I'm more than happy to give it a bash. Next week, I'm going to do a bit of a demo. You know, I haven't got any wedding cakes next week, so I'm a bit sort of less having to do things in a certain time, which I am when I've got wedding cakes. But next week, I'm going to do a demo. I'm going to show you how to make lavender out of sugar. You know, why not? Because they're actually fairly simple to make and they look really effective. So I'll show you how to do that next week. So there we go. So I hope that's been useful for you, my lovelies. Do have a lovely week. I think the temperatures are going to go down, I think, although who knows what's going to happen. We just have to cope with it, don't we? We can cope with this because we're tough. I'm off to have my dinner now. Go back in the kitchen. Oh my goodness. Although it has cooled down a great deal here, which I'm very thankful for. So I will see you next week. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. You're very welcome. You have a lovely evening too. And I will see you next week, my lovelies. All right then. Bye.